Hey guys, this is ZAS. Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new to my channel, welcome. This is JMGO O1. This is an ultra short throw projector. It's native 1080p, it's got Bluetooth, it's got an LED light source, and it also retails for under $1,000. In fact, I was able to get it on Amazon for $700. This is made by a Chinese company called JMGO. It's been around since 2011, and what is really cool about this company is that not only do they only make projectors, but they only make ultra short throw projectors, O1, O1 Pro, and their 4K laser U2. So let's take a closer look at the O1. Alright guys, so let's open the box and let's see what's inside. So right on top there is this futuristic looking blueprint with O1 logo on top. The user manual, of course, in 5 different languages. Of course, the star of the show, the JMGO O1. It is super light and tiny. Alright, let's put it aside for now. In the accessory box, we have the power adapter and the power cable, and of course the remote. The remote actually is pretty nice. It has some weight to it, although not too heavy, of course. I like the rounded edges and the silver in the middle, the directional buttons. It's got all the usual buttons that you usually see: your home, menu, return, settings, volume up, volume down. That's where you can set up the Alexa, the mic button, and the power button, which they also call the Luna button. That's to turn it off and on. And on the side we have the focus buttons. So this is what the projector looks like, guys. It is super tiny. I mean, I'm surprised by how light and tiny it is. It's tinier than some of the portable projectors that I have reviewed, and here it is next to my Vava. And if this doesn't tell you the size difference, then nothing will. I mean, this looks like a baby projector, which is not a bad thing. I mean, a small footprint is not a bad thing as long as they don't compromise performance. That's what the front looks like. It has got a silver front with the JMGO logo and Dyne Audio, which is the speakers. On the sides, on both sides, we have cutouts for vents and for the speakers. It's got dual 7-watt speakers. On the front you have the directional buttons and also the LED light source, as well as an ambient light sensor to dim the light if it detects a person in front of the light source. It's got the Design by JMGO logo. In the back are all the connections. It's got your LAN, your Ethernet connection, your optical in, 2 USBs, two HDMIs, one of them which is ARC, and the power. Bottom you have your rubber feet, and there's also a 1/4-inch thread for mounting it on the ceiling upside down. So yeah, that's your projector. Setup is extremely simple. I set it up in front of my ALR screen, which is 103 inches, and from about 15 inches away I was able to fill up the screen completely. I should point out though, for some reason auto keystone did not work for me, but not to worry, it does have 4-point manual keystone, which actually does a great job, and within seconds I was able to align the edges with my screen absolutely perfectly. You can adjust the focus manually, although I think that the autofocus actually did a great job. So that's what the home screen looks like, and one cool thing about this is that even when you're on the home screen, if you have a device plugged into one of the HDMI ports, let's say an Apple TV or a Fire TV, and you're watching something, there's a preview window that's always playing what you're watching. Alright, so in the settings menu, you have your network and Bluetooth. Bluetooth is mostly for the remote that comes with it, but you can also use it to connect an external device, like a soundbar or sound system. Source signal, you can set it up to boot it up to a certain HDMI. You can also change the color range, although honestly, I just left it automatic. In the audio settings, you can turn off or on the audio that it plays when it boots up. You can turn off or on the navigation sounds and also adjust any delays from the optical audio. There are different audio modes that you can play around with: standard, music, cinema, sports. I think I left it on cinema mostly because I thought that was the best. So in the projection settings, you can turn off or on eye protection mode. You can also switch between the brightness levels. I tried the balanced, but I thought the image was just a little too dull, so I left it on high brightness. Same thing with low blue light mode. Anytime I turned it on, the image was just way too bluish looking, so I just kept it off. Then you have your auto keystone correction, or you can do manual keystone. There's an image flattening, but you have to download an app for that. There's also digital zoom, where you can change the size of the image. There's autofocus, or you can do a manual focus. And also the projection mode, depending upon how you project. So in your video settings, you have your 3D mode. This projector does support 3D. In the image mode, you can toggle between different image types: office, standard, bright colored, user. Within user, you have the option to change brightness, contrast, sharpness, hue. There's image noise reduction. I just kept it on off. There's low latency mode, which is the same as gaming mode. I'll talk about that in a few seconds. HDR, color temperature. I usually keep it on warm, but I think that for this projector, for some reason, standard just looked better, so I just left it on standard. You also have the option to run the wall color calibration, which will adjust the image based on the color of your wall. So in your advanced settings, you can change the fan speed. I just left it on automatic. You can also turn off the LED that's on top of the projector if you find it distracting. There's an option for timed shutdown and also companion mode, which is basically the projector shuts down if it doesn't detect any activity, and you can actually adjust the time here. So last but not least, you have your system settings. This is usually where all the information is. This is also where you would come to reset it to factory default or to update the software to the newest version. So for all the gamers out there, this projector does have a dedicated game mode, or as they call it, low latency mode. In that mode, I did input lag tests, and I was consistently getting between 23 and 25 milliseconds, which is great for gaming. Actually, it may not be enough for hardcore competitive gaming where you're gaming for money, because I think for that you need under 15 milliseconds, but 23-25 milliseconds will work great for any other type of gaming. So this does have two 7-watt speakers. They're made by a company called Dyne Audio. I thought that it was actually pretty good. I wasn't expecting a whole lot because of the size of the projector, but it was actually pretty decent. And yeah, it's missing that high bass, the booming sound, but again, for the size of this projector, the audio was pretty good, and I'll let you be the judge. And keep in mind that the audio sounds probably much better in person than it does on the camera. So I'll play a little audio demo and I'll let you decide.
You won't just hear glass break. You'll hear a slightly battered and bruised baseball fly past your right ear. As a cloud of debris blooms, and shards of glass trail overhead. Just before gravity takes hold, scattering chaos to the four corners of the room. While the sound of a scared little kid, running like hell, fades away in the distance.
Alright guys, couple other things before I get to the image. Phone mirroring works through an app called eShare that's on the home screen. For iPhone, it's as simple as going into your, screen mirroring. It detects the eShare, and that's as simple as that. For Android phones, like I had to do with my Galaxy S10, you would have to download the app. The app is called eShare, and then within the app, you can enable mirroring, and either way, it works great. I should mention that this projector does come with its own app store. It's a version of Android TV. I believe it's based on their Luna interface. Even though I was using Apple TV most of the time, if you decide not to use an external device, the App Store had most of the apps, most of the major apps that I was looking for, Netflix, HBO, Disney. So, yeah, definitely can be used if you don't want to use an external device. Alright guys, so what about the image? Right out of the box, I did not like the way the image looked. Everything was blue, everything was blown up. Flesh tones were not very natural, so I decided to use a calibration DVD that I've used in the past. It's called Disney Wow. Very popular calibration tool, and I've used it in the past and it works really well. Basically, it takes you step by step through the process of adjusting brightness, contrast, the colors, hue, sharpness, aspect ratio, anything that you can think of, and in the end, when you're done with the calibration, the image really looks amazing. I'll leave a link to the DVD in the description in case you're interested. So once I was done with the adjustments, I was really amazed by the image and how good it looked. I was particularly interested in how it would look with some kind of ambient lighting because it's rated at 800 ANSI lumens, and I had quite a bit of overhead lighting, and on my ALR screen, I have to say the image was not just watchable, it was actually pretty good. I was also impressed with the black levels in the dark scenes. The contrast between the dark and the light was actually very good, and now obviously this is not a Sony or a JVC, so you can't expect those kinds of black levels, but honestly it was better than what I expected. So I should mention guys that it doesn't matter if you don't have an ALR screen. Even when I was projecting it on a plain wall like I am doing here, image still looked amazing. It looked great, the colors looked great, nothing looked unnatural, whether I was watching a YouTube video or I was watching news on one of my streaming channels. The flesh tones look really, really natural on this. That's a huge deal to me. Also, sports looked good on it. Pretty much everything looks good on this projector. So I should mention that this is not to be compared with all those other 4K projectors out there. Those things cost more than $2,000, but this is, for what it does, this is an amazing projector. To be able to give you a 1080p image, a native 1080p image, to be able to deliver a 100-inch image from 14 inches away from the wall. It has Bluetooth, it has really good built-in speakers, and to do that all for under $800. Now again, it's not a sponsored video, but I honestly cannot think of any other projectors in this kind of niche market that can beat it at this particular price range. Right guys, so that is my review. Hope you like it, hope you find it useful. Until next time.